if one thing is certain with I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, it's that the reviews are very divided. I didn't look at any reviews before watching it, but I found it to have some pretty terrible decision making going on. And there were a lot of things in this that I thought were very poorly done, but some things that were done very well as well. So I will explain without giving any spoilers. But I looked at reviews after because I thought, am I alone with this? Am I the only person who thinks that it's actually not very well done in a lot of ways? And it turns out that there are a lot of people who are saying it's boring, it's terrible, the pacing's awful, it's not scary, etc. And then there are the people who are saying it's one of the best Gothic horrors they've ever seen. And I want to say to that, how many have you actually seen? Because it's not a good storyteller. It's atmospheric, and I thought the atmosphere was spot on. But as a narrative, there's so much wrong with it. Well, so much is maybe a bit of an overstatement, but I will explain in a moment once I actually tell you what on earth it's about. So it was released in 2016, written and directed by Perkins, stars Ruth Wilson as Lily and Paula Prentiss as Iris Blum. I will say straight away, the acting was fantastic. Lily as our protagonist, great character, very interesting. Sometimes kind of the every person, you can kind of imagine yourself in her shoes, which I think is really important when you're trying to get to the heart of a Gothic horror or a thriller. Paula Prentiss plays Iris, who is an elderly author, and I think she's one of the most amazingly well-acted characters I've ever seen. I genuinely like this character. I love the character writing. I love the development. I love how eerie she was from the word go. Credit where credit is due. That character is fantastic. The acting of that character, spot on. Whenever she was on screen, I felt unnerved. I thought she was amazing. And Lily is a nurse who's come along to take care of Iris. And straight away you can tell that the house is a little bit peculiar. But what I hated, it actually starts off being narrated. And that's not always a bad thing. But the first, I want to say 4 or 5 minutes of this is just voiceover narration. And then we get to see Lily in the house. But the narration continues. Now, if your character is on screen and we can see their face, there's no need for this much narration. And it does this quite frequently. Quite often we'll have this voiceover narration from Lily. And it's not needed. It's absolutely not needed. It does not drive the plot forward. It takes you out of the moment. It's completely jarring, but not in a way that makes you feel more unnerved and immersed in this horror. It's just bad filmmaking. It's just ugly. It's horrific. Her tone of voice is beautiful. She's got that spot on for that kind of eerie, slightly whispering narration. And if it was done maybe just once, yeah, fine, fair enough, it works well. But it's quite frequent and it's just horrible. It doesn't work well. A lot of people said in negative reviews that not a lot happens, and that is very true. It's a very slow film. Gothic horrors tend to be a lot more psychological. They keep you on the edge of your seat. They're not really jump scares and slashers. So if that's the kind of thing you like, that's not what's going to happen here. And I tend to love that kind of thing ordinarily. I love films that, even though not a lot's happening, you can't take your eyes away. That's not the case here. It's very boring. The atmosphere is amazing. The sound effects, incredible. It does feel very atmospheric, and you can feel in the pit of your stomach that there's something there. There's something with the house or about the house that's unnerving, but you can't put your finger on it. And yes, I was intrigued to find out what that was. But it takes a long time to actually give us tidbits of information. It doesn't really plant many seeds. And I feel like the narrative was not very well developed. It wasn't a very good storyteller. And Gothic horror lends itself to brilliant storytelling. And I think maybe that's why they made the decision to narrate some of it, because it makes it feel like they're telling you a story. But unfortunately, the bits that weren't narrated were just very poor and didn't really tell us any story at all. So they got the balance there completely way off. And I feel like that is such a shame, because the story itself, and I won't really say what it's about other than what I've mentioned because I don't want to spoil it, but it was really fascinating. when we did finally start to get bits of information and could kind of work a few things out, I was intrigued. I thought this actually sounds like a really brilliant concept. Unfortunately, this potentially thrilling, dark, chilling, almost enchanting, captivating narrative was so poorly executed that it completely ruined something that could have been beautiful. Unfortunately, I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House is not a good horror film. It's not dramatic. Iris as a character is fantastic. She's been completely wasted in this film. The lighting's way off as well. There are some scenes where it's quite dark and we're supposed to be able to see things that are kind of lurking or things that we maybe suspect, but it's too dark. Can't see anything. It doesn't work well. So many things wrong with the actual technical aspects, but it is atmospheric. Scary? No. Suspenseful? A little bit. But poorly developed, poorly executed, and an absolute waste of what could have been fantastic.